Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avenger.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
A rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Do you want the truth? The kind they try to hide. It's not left versus right. It's a war for our minds. We built this land with sweat and grace, but they sold our birthright to a stranger's face. We just want to work to live, to be free, to raise our kids and keep our dignity. But every law they write, every rule they spin, takes another inch from the people again. It's us versus them, the people versus control. The flag still stands for freedom, not for gold. They can try to divide, but they can't break the sun, 'cause this land belongs to everyone. And we'll stand as one. My friends on the other side, I feel your pain. You've been lied to too. It's the same old game. The system's broken, that much is true. But I don't hate you, brother, I stand with you. We've all been played by the hands of the few. They print our chains in red, white, and blue, but freedom ain't theirs. It's in our soul. It's the will of the people that makes us whole. It's us versus them, the strong versus the fake, the workers, the soldiers, the hearts that won't break. We'll stand by our faith, our flag, our gun, 'cause this land belongs to everyone, and we'll stand as one. Freedom's not a gift you're handed from a throne. It's the fire in your chest that says I stand alone. It's the farmer, the builder, the mother's cry. It's the spirit that refuses to die. They call it progress, we call it theft of the blood and sweat that our fathers left. But when the people rise, the lies are done, and we remember we're the one. It's us versus them, but love wins the fight. Truth is our weapon, and God is our light. They can chain the body, but they can't chain the sun, 'cause this land belongs to everyone, and we'll stand as one. So raise that flag, let the stars still wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. We'll bow to no tyrant, we'll kneel to no crown. This is our hope, we won't back down. It's us versus them,
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well out there and having a great day, a great Tuesday. Man, it's Tuesday. Oh my God, I got another show right after this. Did you know that? Yep, right after this, we head right into Badlands Media, and we do DEF CON 0, the hottest show on Tuesday night. In that 10 o'clock hour. So I hope you guys join us for that. That's going to be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time on Badlands. A little bit warmer in here today. I got out and I was able to, it's still freezing cold outside, but I was able to get the propane heater in here and warm it up to like 120 degrees. And now I'm kind of like sweating. It's really hot in there. And I see everybody in the chat. I'm watching the Rumble chat right here in front of me. And then I got Facebook and X right here and YouTube. I see, let me see. Who do we see out here? We see Glenn Harford, Michael Holligan, Susan Blee. We got Susan of Okie on YouTube, Loretta Wadkowski on Facebook. Oh, thanks. My podcasts are the best. Thank you so much. Hello from Souk, Vancouver Island, Pappy Kelly. Thank you so much, Pappy. Jojo Starbuck. Josh is the bomb. What's up, Jojo? And then on Rumble, we got, oh my God, we got Tammy Trehan, we got April Ann, we got Roxy SG, Lizzie Lizard. Oh man, you got, some of the best damn audience in the world. And here's the thing is when I go over the Badlands, you all follow me. So it's amazing. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys all joining in. And tonight, Badlands Media, so join us for that. What else do we got going on here? This snowy night, I'm in Jacksonville. Dennis just had to push that out there. Hey, Josh, it's snowing there. I'm in Florida. Thanks, dude. Nice to know that you're all nice and warm. All right, so the global chess game, man. As we watch this unravel, it just gets more and more interesting. It's like some things we get vindicated on. Some things are like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. But that's all part of this, right? That's how we're progressing through this. The one thing we can say is that at least we are highly more accurate than the mainstream media. Now, going into the global chess game, Donald Trump, he made comments from the Oval Office today. Tomorrow, again, as we speak, just announced Donald Trump is going to be making another announcement tomorrow morning, deliver a major address to the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow. So a major address to the nation tomorrow from the Oval Office. What could this be? I don't know. There's a lot of different hints. So tomorrow is interesting because you have the FOMC meeting with the Federal Reserve coming out tomorrow. You have a lot of talk about federal income taxes that are being talked about. With Donald Trump saying plans to remove those. You have the elimination of Joe Biden's orders and policies. We'll go over that here in a few minutes. And then we have the kind of the military standoff in Venezuela and a lot of constitutional legality, Article 1 versus Article 2 talk going on in the backdrop. Actually, that was one post I wanted to bring up. There was a reply that I made to Rand Paul. And I think that it's incredibly important, and it's one that's definitely worth going over tonight. And, I love this. I'm actually going to play that here in a second. And let me see here. Where is it? Vindman. There's Vindman. There it is. Hey, Rand. Okay, so we got that. And we're going to talk about all the legality, constitutionality. We're going to talk about what's happening, why it's happening, and all the things in between. So bear with me. We're going to jump in and get rocking and rolling. The first thing I'm going to bring up is a shout out to my veteran brother over here from the United States Marine Corps, CanCon. So for the White House has been publishing a whole bunch of veterans and veteran statements. And they posted this video today on December 2nd. Veterans slam the seditious six and issue a crystal clear message. We stand with President Trump for these senators and members of Congress to come forward and use their status as veterans to claim in some way they're allowed to stand in the chain of command. Treated us So let's go ahead and play this real quick because you're going to recognize somebody in here if you are from Badlands.
The White House has made it very clear. The orders that come from the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of War have been upheld as lawful. Suggesting otherwise creates confusion and weakens our national security.
For these senators and members of Congress to come forward and use their status as veterans to claim in some way that they are allowed to stand in the chain of command is treasonous.
This is an insult by all of these seditious things that took place in these videos.
Their seditious behavior should be dealt with, and 100% supported President Trump.
It's not ironic, though, that these are all Democrats that defy and despise the President of the United States, and they would love to see some form of uprising in this country to go against the President.
These senators should absolutely be investigated to the fullest extent of the law.
The seditious six don't care about illegal orders. They are trying to recruit the next wave of insurgents to attack President Trump.
And you've given no evidence what his illegal orders were?
As your brother in arms, I say, stand firm, honor the chain, protect what we have bled for. God bless our troops, and God bless President Trump for calling this out.
That was from the White House. So last week they put out Alpha Warrior. This week they got CanCon. It's like eyes are on Badlands or something, right? Now, let's before we get into the fun stuff, Rand Paul put this out today, and I want to go over this because I think this is critically important, especially off the back of what we just listened to. I'm a veteran. I have the right to talk about these things, and you know, as people who didn't serve in the military, you probably don't understand what the chain of command structure is in the military. But so Rand Paul comes out and says war powers belong to Congress, not the White House. The latest boat strike revelations make that clearer than ever. I'm demanding answers and insisting Congress reclaim its constitutional authority. Well, I got one of the top comments on this bad boy. Said, hey, Rand, do you mind pulling out your pocket constitution and showing us exactly where in Article 1 and Article 2 it says this? As he says, war powers belong to Congress, not the White House. The latest boat strike revelation makes it clearer than ever. I'm demanding answers and insisting Congress reclaim its constitutional authority. Well, there's no constitutional authority for Congress to reclaim. Let's break it down. The power to declare war has long been construed to mean not only that Congress can formally take the nation into war, but also that it can authorize the use of the armed forces for military expeditions that may not amount to war. So that's in congressional authority. We're not disputing that. Well, a restrictive interpretation of the power to declare war is possible, for example, by viewing the framers' use of the verb to declare rather than to make as an indication of the intent to limit Congress's ability to affect the course of a war once it is validity commenced. Congress's other powers over the use of the military would likely fill any resulting void. In practice, courts have not sought to delineate the boundaries of each clause relating to war powers as identity gaps between them to find specific powers that are denied to Congress. However, the Supreme Court has suggested that Congress might overstep its bounds into presidential territory if it were to interfere with the conduct of military operations. Congress has the power not only to raise and support and govern armies, but to declare war. It has therefore the power to provide the law for carrying on war. This power necessarily extends to all legislation essential to the prosecution of war with vigor and success, except such as interferes with the command of the forces in the conduct of the campaigns. That power and duty belongs to the president as commander-in-chief, ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. This is the Supreme Court. Congress has the power to declare war and fund it, but the Constitution never gave Congress the power to conduct war. The Supreme Court settled that 150 years ago. Congress can legislate except such as interferes with the command and the forces and the conduct of campaigns. That power and duty belong to the president and commander-in-chief. So no, war powers do not derive in Congress. Congress authorizes them. The president commands in the constitutional separation. And this is in a Congressional Research Service study, Defense Primer, Congress's constitutional authority with regard to the armed forces. So you got to remember, in the 1950s and throughout, I mean, through the Civil War to the 1950s and the 1970s, the 1990s, and the 2000s, the War Power Acts and National Security Directives that were approved and passed by Congress were amended, giving the president the capability of waging limited conflicts with military authorization. So we have, in effect today, 2001 AUMF, the Authorized Use of Military Force, passed by Congress post September 11th, which says that if a organization is declared a foreign terrorist organization legally, then the president has authorization under the AUMF of 2001 to strike those terrorist groups and cells. That's exactly what he's doing. He's already laid this out. We're seeing this right now. He went out there, he utilized executive orders, he declared Cartel del Solos, Trinidad y Aragua, Sinaloa cartel, all the cartels in this region, a terrorist organization. Therefore, the legal framework comes into play. If you want to actually go deeper into this and find out all of the legal statute that actually aligns with President Trump with all of this, I think that it's called this one. Is it this one? Yep, it's this one. There's a Substack article, and if it's not, let me see here. I want to just make sure that the paywall is off because I want to send people to it. Yep, it's available to everybody. So there's this one right here. It's available to everybody. I think mine go after a month or 30 days. They go to paywall, but I got to figure out how to change that. But so you go into here and you got nothing can stop it coming has begun. We go in here. We talk about the information war. We talk about legal war, the multi-domain campaign. You know what? I'm going to read this to you because this is so critically important to understand the legal battle. So if people don't know, on DEFCON 0, Alpha and I, over a 2-month period, laid out the legal framework. And we were told this is going to become relevant, lay out the legal framework. And we laid out the legal framework for what's happening right now in Venezuela with the U.S. military. So let me go in here. I want to blow this up a little bit. There we go. I think we can do this. And I'm going to throw, and anybody wants to share this or get this out there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my Substack up on the there you go. So this can be found at Substack, but information war, legal war, multi-domain campaign. It's here. It's happening. If you're paying attention, you can feel it moving under the surface. The calm before the storm we are living through isn't random chaos. It's coordinated evolution of warfare itself. Information, law, doctrine, execution. And the battlefield isn't across the ocean. It's in your feed, your mind, and the narrative that define what people think is true. That's the Psy war, the information war. This was always the first front. Before any kinetic operation, before any memo to Congress, before any reissued doctrine, we had to win the information domain. The battlefield has changed. The weapons isn't bullets, it's information. The target isn't land, it's perception. And the theater of operation is the digital feed that never sleeps. Social media, corporate press, NGOs, and governments fact-checking partnerships from a synchronized web of control. This is modern warfare. Cognitive, psychological, and subversive by design. For decades, the influence apparatus was one way. They broadcast, you received. The public consumed what elites packaged as truth. The monopoly collapsed when we took back control through decentralized networks, podcasts, independent journalism, Substack, social media. Q was the Great Awakening. We didn't ask permission to broadcast. We built new channels. That's subversion, lawful, asymmetric, and unstoppable. We took over the domain through decentralization, verification, and speed. Independent analysts replaced mainstream anchors. Screenshots replaced editorials. Receipts replaced trust. Memes became compressed information bursts, a modern form of psychological operations that bypass traditional filters and reach millions in seconds. We learned to operate like a digital insurgency. We mirrored, archived, and distributed truth faster than they could censor it. Every takedown made the message spread further. Every suppression created another soldier in the information war. That's why the first victory had to be this domain. Before any physical operation could occur, the public had to see. The people had to wake up. The information war prepared the battlefield. It broke the monopoly of propaganda. It built legitimacy for what would come next. It forced transparency and created consent for justice. Information is the oxygen of modern warfare. Whomever controls it, whoever controls its flow controls perception. Whoever controls perception controls action. And over the past 8 years, we took that oxygen back. Phase 1, lawfare and legal architecture. Once the information front was secured, the next phase began, the legal framework. The hidden war can't stay hidden forever. To bring it into light, it must exist inside the law, not outside of it. That's exactly what we've been watching unfold. The authorization use of military force, AUMF, from 2001 was the foundation. Originally passed for the war on terror, it was written open-ended, deliberately. It gives the president the authority to use all necessary force against entities connected to terrorism or hostile acts towards the United States. That authorization never expired. It can be applied whenever those hostile networks operate, including inside our borders when tied to foreign direction. Then came the National Security Presidential Memorandums, NSPM 6 and NSPM 7. Establishing frameworks for conducting counter-infiltration, subversion, and hybrid warfare inside the homeland. These directives brought intelligence, law enforcement, and military coordination to a single unified chain of command. Then you got a delayed reaction by my computer. DoD Instruction 3000.07, which was just updated recently, September 29th, 2025. So what the administration laid out at the closed-door classified briefing was perceived by several senators as pursuing a new legal framework that raised questions, particularly regarding the role of Congress in authorizing any such action, the official familiar with the matter said. This is when the irregular warfare doctrine was updated. As the administration takes aim at vessels in the Caribbean, senators and lawmakers of both major political parties have raised stark objections. Some have previously called on Congress to exert its authority under War Powers Act that would prohibit the administration's strikes unless they were authorized by Congress. So finally, the White House memo to Congress confirmed it. Senators were briefed behind closed doors that the United States is now in an armed conflict with designated cartels under the law of armed conflict. The war on drugs just evolved into a formalized warfighting theater. This isn't politics, it's precision, a deliberate legal framework built piece by piece. Now, the one thing the Trump administration needs to do is after they declare these foreign terrorist organizations under the 2001 AUMF is they have to notify Congress, of which they did right there. Phase 2 is doctrine and action. This is kind of where we're moving into right now. With doctrine comes authority, with authority comes action. The structure is now operational. Executive orders, NSPMs, AUMF, and the new irregular warfare doctrine together form a single machine, a tool for dismantling insurgent networks directed at or financed by foreign entities. The cartels, the money channels, the proxy operations, they're now classified as transnational insurgencies, not mere criminal enterprises. That reclassification changes everything. It means the U.S. military can act. It means the Treasury can seize assets. It means special operations can engage directly under the law of armed conflict. This is how the battlefield shifts from law enforcement to national defense without a single new act of Congress. It's the evolution of warfare through doctrine, not through declaration. Phase 3, multi-domain coordination. You're watching a multi-domain campaign unfold. Every instrument of national power is being synchronized. Information, digital, financial, kinetic on both sides. And I'll reiterate that. Information control through decentralized citizen networks, financial warfare through Treasury seizure and sanction authority, digital warfare through the NSA, Cyber Command, and AI-driven SIGINT, kinetic operations through JSOC, Marines, and naval assets deployed across the hemisphere. This is how irregular wars are fought across domains, below the threshold of public recognition, until the results speak for themselves. Phase 4 would be the domestic front. So we are in phase 3 as of current. Phase 4 would be next. Once the Insurrection Act is invoked, and this is why you had the Seditious Six. This is what they were staging the narrative for, was the Insurrection Act. Once the Insurrection Act is invoked, the firewall between foreign and domestic dissolves. The posse comitatus restrictions fall. The Guard can be federalized. Active duty forces can operate domestically to restore order and neutralize foreign directed insurgents inside our own borders. It's not martial law. It's constitutional enforcement in the face of rebellion and subversion. That bridge from foreign to domestic is what connects the global irregular warfare framework to operations here at home. It's the legal doorway that allows the same tools used abroad to dismantle infiltration networks operating within the United States. This is why the groundwork was laid years ago. This is why intelligence and operations were unified under the Pentagon. And so if you remember, JSOC basically special missions and operations was brought out of the CIA framework and put back under command authority of the Pentagon under Trump's first administration. This is why secrecy and classification were necessary to root out the enemy within before revealing the hand. The big picture. Everything happening right now, the countdown clocks, the briefings, the rhetoric, the reissued doctrines is not random. It's sequence. Information war came first. Legal and doctrinal war followed. Operational authority is now active. Domestic enforcement is the next phase. This is a global counterinsurgency operation against a system of corruption, infiltration, and control that span continents and institutions. Every leak, every post, every public exposure was part of the information campaign to prepare the people. Every memo, every reorganization, every reissued order was part of a legal campaign to prepare the government. Now both are converging. Why the information war still matters. Even as operations move in the kinetic and legal phases, the information front remains a decisive battle. Oh, this is true. This is where we're at. This is what the Seditious Six was. Because wars aren't fought by force alone. They're won by belief. Belief in truth. Belief in sovereignty. Belief in justice. The deep state spent decades weaponizing the narrative. They built empires of perception to make lies look like reality. The only way to dismantle that empire was to expose it. And that's actually what the digital soldiers have done. The real awakening wasn't about politics. It was about perception. It was about pulling the curtain back and revealing that what we were told was normal was anything but. We didn't capture institutions first. We captured attention. We didn't beg for access. We built our own platforms. We didn't wait for truth. We became it. Information dominance isn't propaganda. It's logistics for truth. And that's why after 8 years of building, fighting, exposing, nothing can stop what's coming. And it goes on a little bit and kind of gives up. Oh, we can. Well, I do believe that this is happening. The storm isn't coming. It's already here. You can feel it in the shift of the narrative, the silence of the old guard, the sudden panic in the halls of power. You can see it in the patterns, the reorganization of command, the movement of assets, the reawakening of the republic itself. For years, we have fought in the shadows of the digital battlefield, decoding, documenting, and revealing. That was never just commentary. It was a reconnaissance. It was the preparatory fires before the advance. Now, as the curtain lifts, every one of us becomes part of this operation. The fight for truth doesn't stop when the bombs fall or the arrests begin. It deepens because information is still the bridge between chaos and understanding, between manipulation and freedom. The Great Awakening isn't a slogan. It's the process of a civilization remembering what it means to be free. It's the reassertion of divine order over corruption. It's the return of power to the people. So stay armored in truth, stay disciplined in discernment, stay calm in the storm. Because what comes next isn't destruction, it's correction, it's justice, it's restoration. And above all, remember, nothing can stop what's coming. Not because it's fate, but because millions of awake, resolute, and fearless Americans are already making it happen. That's on my Substack. Check that out if you want to. redpillproject.substack.com. Now, let's get into the fun and games. First thing I got, it's actually hot in here that I have to turn the heater off. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Never thought I'd say that when it's 5 degrees outside. All right. Let's pull this up. So Donald Trump has gone on a massive posting frenzy. Now, I find this also interesting as well. I want to see if I could actually find the post of relevance here. It was from last week, around last Tuesday. So Donald Trump has went on a massive posting frenzy. There was a comm that occurred last week. Oh, I know what it was. Actually, I can pull it up right here, and I don't even need to go to the breakdown. Let me find it right now. You're going to love this because Alpha and I discussed this on DEF CON 0 last week. All right. And we said this was going to occur. Now, did I expect it to occur that fast? Yeah, I kind of did. So let me go into here. I want to open this up. I think this is the right timestamp. I know you can't see it yet. It wouldn't be any fun if you just sat there and watched me searching for it. There it is. Okay. I got it. I was right. Okay. So last week, before I get into this, Trump went on a spree of posting massive amounts of Patriots on his Truth Social, right? Over the last few days, quite a bit of them. Now, General Flynn came out the other day, last week, November 25th, and said, get ready. And what did he say? Digital soldiers, right?
We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, what we call, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics. And that story will continue to be told here. But we have what we call citizen journalists. Okay? Because the journalists that we have in our media.
Okay, so Flynn posts this. He posts this at 5:32 p.m. 5:32 p.m. Well, that's kind of interesting. And Alpha and I went over this last week, and we said what most likely was about to happen. Do you remember what we said? I went to the timestamp. 5:32. Fake news awards. Are you prepared? Memes and posts organized and coordinated. POTUS may retweet one or more. Ready for launch. Show the world the truth. Open their eyes. Don't let POTUS suffer from the Soros loser bots that continuously flood. Make the fake news awards your first organized tweet storm day, making America great again. Since this post, the White House has reposted Alpha Warrior for its Seditious Six CanCon on a featured video by the White House. Donald Trump has posted massive amounts of Q accounts and Patriot and Digital Soldier accounts all throughout Truth Social. What does that signify to me? What does that tell me? And it's not a question I would ever ask Flynn, because it's not meant to be asked. It's meant to be observed. It's a pattern that you have to look at and go, by golly, there's fucking coordination right there. It's almost like Trump and Flynn are communicating between Truth Social and X with timestamps. And Flynn put it out, hey, it begins. And Trump says, oh, I'm going to start posting a bunch of Patriots. I think that's exactly what we just saw. And Trump has been relentless. He hasn't really stopped, has he? Earlier today, he posts, great news. Q Dallas County, Texas, just went to all paper ballots. Many others are following suit. More accurate, totally secure with the watermark, paper faster, and only 9% of the cost. All Republican governors should mandatorily do this. Save money and freedom. Lead the Democrats out of their corrupt ways. President DJT. Now, number one is anytime I see DJT, there's always some type of Q reference. That's, that's 41020, right? Always some type of Q reference there. But he put the big old Q in there. And Q is not anywhere near D on the keyboard. Well, I didn't break this one down, but 8-Track Q, a.k.a. Mark, did. And he did a phenomenal job of it. And we'll bring up Mark's post right now. He said, something strange happened this morning and too many coincidences lined up at once. I'll pull this over. Come on. This thing never wants to move over. Come on, get over there. There we go. Okay. At 5:44 a.m., President Trump posted Truth Social, and all of the possible typos, he writes Q Dallas County, not Dallas. Q Dallas. Here's where it gets weirder. He goes, when I typed in Q Dallas in the Safari on my iPhone, it didn't give a normal Google search. Instead, it auto-redirects straight to the Dallas Morning News. And that article, it's about Jasmine Crockett and the Soros-backed congresswoman hinting at a U.S. Senate run. This article dropped after Trump's early morning Q Dallas post. Coincidence? Comms shot across the bow? Now layer in the rest. Q drop 544 includes a photo featuring George Soros. Q drop 9 warns projection. Dems can't lose control over the black population. These false leaders are corrupt and paid off to keep the black population poor and in need. Soros-backed PACs via Alex Soros dumped $2.7 million behind Jasmine Crockett in 2022 to push her into Congress. Alex Soros even met with her afterwards and celebrated her as a rising star. Soros also funded the Dallas County DA, John Kruzot, in 2018 and 2022, part of his nationwide network to reform prosecutors reshaping urban counties. The weeks keep getting spicier and spicier, and I'm here for it. And he's spot on right. Isn't that interesting? For anybody out there wondering, like, what's the boards and how's it all work? Well, that's how it works. That's what we're looking at, is contextual reference frame when we have something like that actually happens. Now, I didn't need to break it down. I didn't need to do my own decode because Alpha did one, Mark did one, many other people did them too. So by the time I got to it, it was already decoded well enough. All right. Now, in the midst of all of this, there's direct comms happening between the people, and Trump. We got to understand that. They are communicating with us. They're not only communicating with us, they're saying, we see you, by posting many of us on the White House page, okay? This is huge. But it goes back to the idea of the keystone. What is the keystone? Well, if you go into the boards, and I know I just saw a post the other day, the dude's like, was like some Pepe dude, that's one of the popular Pepe dudes. He's like, the keystone is Ukraine. No, it's not. I thought the keystone was Ukraine for a long time. The boards literally tell us what the keystone is. Key, POTUS, military intelligence, no such agency, right? Stone, the people. Keystone. It's when the people align with the actions of the president utilizing the military to take out this infiltration. That's the keystone. That's how we save this country. That's how this country has always been saved. When the American Revolution was fought, it was the militias that aligned with General George Washington, the military, in order to take out the British and King George and his armies. When the military of the North aligned with President Lincoln to defeat the South, I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings, to defeat the South in the Civil War. That's how it works. And we have to get behind our president on this. But there's a lot of people trying to undermine that authority of the president, specifically with the military. So we've been talking about Seditious Six. Then all of a sudden, after the Seditious Six, we had the Pete Hegseth's missile story that came out with the Washington Post. Now, this is really important. I explained this last night. I'll explain this again. The Seditious Six that came out last week and told people not to obey illegal orders was damaging to our national security. It was damaging to the decision-making process of our junior soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardians, as well as the various different officers throughout the military, the chain of command. It undermines the authority of the president. This is a huge no-no. And I'm going to go into that with kind of another post that I'm about to go into. But understand that what they were doing was constructive narrative framing. They were framing a narrative because they knew certain things were about to come out. Specifically, 5 anonymous whistleblowers, right, come out from the DOD and make up this cockamamie story that is not based in fact. So this is what this is. The New York Times went out there and posted a new post. The Washington Post lit the match with a blockbuster claim that Pete Hegseth personally ordered the U.S. forces to hunt down survivors of a narco-trafficking strike. But now the New York Times, of all, has stepped in, and the story looks a lot less clear, a lot less cinematic, and a lot more bureaucratic. According to 5 U.S. officials speaking anonymously to the New York Times, Hegseth did order the strike ahead of September 2nd operation, targeting the boat, the people on it, and the alleged drug cargo. But his directive did not spell out what to do if the first missile didn't finish the job. And crucially, officials say his order was not a reaction to surveillance footage showing survivors. In other words, the Washington Post narrative, Hegseth saw survivors and told commanders to finish them off, doesn't hold up. Surprise. The New York Times isn't exonerating anyone. They still paint a deadly U.S. military operation, but it is contradicting the most explosive part of the WAPO story. Translation, the Pentagon's internal timeline doesn't match the headline that went viral, i.e., the headline from the Washington Post that went viral was information warfare that was already constructed through a narrative framing a week before with the Seditious Six meant to hurt the president of the United States, undermine the president in the second war. Understand? Okay. So Pete Hegseth came out, eviscerated the mainstream media about this. I'm actually looking forward to getting into this conversation, but let's listen to Hegseth here.
Proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic.
Hegseth calling it as it is. And now he's going to testify in front of Congress. Good. And I'm glad he's going to. So the left and the mainstream media have engaged in a psychological warfare campaign to emotionally destabilize military members with propaganda. Understand that's what this was. Their goal was to create doubt in the minds of the military members and interfere with the chain of command and future military operations. This is damaging to our national security, and these people and media outlets need to be held accountable. What happened? Seditious Six was the narrative construct. This was planned, produced, and funded by someone who knew that this hit propaganda piece was going to be run on the mainstream media. 5 anonymous Department of War officials were the setup. Whether they exist or not is irrelevant. This is exactly the same scenario of Trump's perfect phone call. They lie about the events even after the record is set straight. Washington Post and New York Times articles on the delivery system of propaganda with zero evidence substantiating the claims. The mainstream media didn't just have this story dropped into their laps. They were part of its creation and colluded to perpetuate the narrative. This is where journalism and the First Amendment protection cease and criminality begins. This wasn't journalistic reporting on a story. This was an intelligence operation using psychological warfare, and the mainstream media was an active participant in damaging national security. This is warfare. People die in warfare. You don't leave an armed enemy alive just because you blew the shit out of their vehicle. What does the left expect? The Coast Guard to go in and render assistance? Get the fuck out of here. This is narrative spinning, constructive framing of the rules of engagement. This is the psyop that is being played right now. And this was a reply to Jim Hansen, who Jim, I don't know why this isn't playing. Oh, so Jim Hansen came out there and says, and let me put this out there. I know I got Hegseth and Trump on. You guys like looking at those gentlemen, but we'll put Jim Hansen. Jim Hansen here, president of the World Chief Strategist for the Middle East Forum and former Special Forces weapons guy, author of multiple books, including The Winning the Second Civil War. He goes, I've taught the laws of armed conflict to U.S. and multi-allied troops. It's comical to have online experts inform me. The laws of war do not apply to killing terrorists because Congress didn't declare war. Wrong. You can't make a second strike at a boat you're sinking because there might be a wounded on board. Wrong. It is murder to kill designated terrorists. Wrong. I'm sorry it gives you the sads that our commander-in-chief has decided to stop letting the cartels kill Americans by smuggling poison into our country. He's absolutely right. And where do we have it? We had something there. General Flynn actually posted out information pertaining to the number of deaths. Right now, what we are seeing is per month over 100,000 people die from drug overdoses in the United States of America, including fentanyl and cocaine. That means that the weapons of war, they don't have to be bullets. They don't have to be bombs. They don't have to be psychological. They can be biological. They can be poisons. They can be chemicals. And that's exactly what's happening. Is the countries of Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, and multiple others, and foreign nationals and foreign intelligence agencies colluding with them, are waging a silent war in the United States of America against the American people at the tone of well over 100,000 Americans a year. You want war? That's where we come and get war. And that's what President Trump exactly is doing. But it's not all about drugs. Drugs are one optical aspect of what Trump is doing. The extent of this is far greater. I went into that last night, and you can watch last night's episode to get all that. Now, the post I've been waiting for. Alexander Vindman, we know, former retired Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, the whistleblower on the perfect phone call conversation, him and Eric Ciccamorella with Adam Shifty Schiff during 2018 with Trump's phone call with Zelensky. Alexander Vindman came out and lied on his whistleblower complaint, saying that Trump said some stuff that he didn't say, and then Trump released a transcript proving otherwise, and they still went on with the impeachment anyway. Okay. He says here, it is totally okay to disobey the President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief if he's issuing illegal orders. In fact, it is your duty to disobey, and failure to do so will have you prosecuted. Clearly, patently illegal orders issued by President Trump include shooting peaceful protesters in the leg and murdering civilians in boats. You got to love what he just did there. This post right here, I don't think Alexander Vindman realizes, is highly incriminating. Let me break it down for you. Lieutenant Colonel retired Vindman. I'm surprised about your gross incompetence of your statements. Maybe the Secretary of War should recall you back to active duty and begin an investigation over your comments, which seem to align with Captain retired Mark Kelly in direct violation of 18 U.S.C. 2387, activities affecting armed forces generally. UCMJ articles, Article 88, contempt towards officials, Article 92, failure to obey lawful order, dereliction of duty, Article 94, mutiny or sedition, Article 133, conduct unbecoming an officer, Article 134, general. Let me correct you. And this is probably the most important part. So everybody's been putting their videos out about the dangers of the seditious six. And if there is one that was going to get clipped and put out about me, this is it. This is my response to the seditious six. More specifically, Alexander Vindman, who posted this, basically reiterating what Senator Mark Kelly was saying. Your assessment overlooks something fundamental about how the U.S. military functions. Orders from the president don't go straight to an E4, an enlisted member, or a platoon commander. There's a long chain of legal and operational review before anything reaches the tactical level. When the commander-in-chief issues an order, it moves through the National Security Council and White House Council, Secretary of War, and the Department of War General Counsel, Joint Chiefs of Staff operational and legal review teams, combatant command lawyers and judge advocates, service-level commands and staff attorneys. By the time that order reaches a lieutenant, a captain, or an NCO on the ground, it has been vetted by dozens of military and civilian legal authorities whose explicit job is to prevent unlawful orders from being transmitted. This is where it gets really important. To publicly encourage junior service members to disobey the president after an order has passed the entire legal chain of command is not protecting our republic. It is undermining the chain of command, eroding discipline, and creating dangerous hesitation in life or death situations. This isn't about politics. This is about the basic mechanics that prevent the U.S. military from fracturing. If you bypass the chain of command and tell enlisted or junior officers to personally reinterpret, second guess, or refuse orders that have already been cleared at the highest legal levels, you create a national security threat, not a safeguard. That's why Alexander Vindman's statements, Mark Kelly's statements, the seditious six statements is not just wrong, it's reckless and it's illegal. I hope a full investigation is immediately opened into all of these guys. And justice is brought to them because what they did in undermining our commander-in-chief, our Secretary of War, could have dire consequences that mean life or death. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the next part. First thing I'm going to do. Excuse me. We having fun yet, guys? Guys, we having fun yet? I hope we having fun. Blue Chew. I don't know what Blue Chew is. Going through what they're offering me today. We'll do this one. Okay. For my Rumble guys, if anybody's on Rumble, if anybody needs this, just go on to Rumble. You can find this on over there. Looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st, normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content, no interruptions, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere, plus Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. Thank you, Rumble. Appreciate that. By the way, for my premium members, so one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to get premium content out there. And so Rumble Premium, we have all our Rumble subscribers out there. We don't have a way to necessarily get you our Thursday Q&A links. Most of you guys are already subscribed in other places, so you can find it. But what we're going to do is Alpha and I are going to be doing premium shows together weekly. So 1 or 2 or even 3 of them a week. So just keep that in mind. Plus, we have conspiracy streams, which will be coming back on this channel. So if you enjoyed our conspiracy streams, if there's conspiracy documentaries that you want to see out there, let us know. The conspiracy streams that we do are tons of our shows, the Daily Dose, Conversations on the Fringe, as well as other shows that we have permission to use and broadcast. So those will be coming back. I just wanted to make that announcement and let people know. Now, Donald Trump. They did a brief today from the White House, and I want you to listen to what Donald Trump says here, because his words are very, very important.
You just mentioned potential land strikes. Can you elaborate anything on that?
I'll elaborate. If they come in through a certain country or any country, or if we think they're building mills for whether it's fentanyl or cocaine. I hear Colombia, the country of Colombia, is making cocaine. They have cocaine manufacturing plants, okay? And then they sell us their cocaine. We appreciate that very much. But yeah, anybody that's doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack.
So not necessarily just Venezuela?
No, not just Venezuela, no. Venezuela's been very bad. Venezuela's been really bad in something else, probably worse than most, but a lot of other people do it too. They would send murderers into our country. They would empty their jails into our country. They sent people into our country that we don't want. They sent their drug dealers and their drug people into our country. They sent people from their mental institutions into our country, and we're getting them out. That was bad. That was real bad. And they also sent drugs.
So you got to remember, one of the requests that Donald Trump made to Nicolas Maduro back when he originally came in is accept your migrants back into your country. Maduro said no. Even when Maduro called last week, this was not an option. Now, I don't know if that's one of the things that Trump has on the table, but what I found interesting is that Donald Trump said anybody aligned with these groups bringing narcotics into the United States of America can be targeted by the U.S. military. And all he has to do is wipe that pen across the paper and sign an executive order declaring whatever organization is a foreign terrorist organization, because he set the legal precedent for this. We just went over that, half the show. So Colombia, he mentioned. Mexico just came out today. Scheinbaum came out and said, we stand in solidarity with Venezuela and Maduro. Oh, that was stupid. Battle lines are being drawn. What else we got? Colombia's president warns Trump, you will awaken the jaguar. Colombian President Gustavo Petro, come to Colombia, Mr. Trump. I invite you so that you can participate in the destruction of the 9 laboratories we do daily to prevent cocaine from reaching the U.S. Without missiles, I've destroyed 18,400 laboratories during my government. Come with me and I'll show you how they are destroyed, 1 laboratory every 40 minutes. But do not threaten our sovereignty, because you will awaken the jaguar. Attacking our sovereignty is declaring war. Do not damage 2 centuries of diplomatic relationships. You have already slandered me. Do not continue down that path. If there is a country that has helped stop thousands of tons of cocaine so that North Americans do not consume it, it is Colombia. This comes as Trump is ramping up pressure in the region with 15,000 troops in the Caribbean, with potentially tomorrow from the Oval Office announcement being made of what he's going to do next. Now, is Colombia compromised? Yeah. Listen, I can tell you this. When I operated in the Southcom AOR with the United States Navy and we would do narcotics offloads in Jacksonville, Florida, and Mayport. Mayport is the naval station out there. This is what would happen. You would have a big tractor trailer come in, unmarked, government plates. You would have various agents who wouldn't show you their face. They would come in to help you offload. DEA, CIA, yep, they were there. And we would have our visit board search and seizure team and then the Coast Guard law enforcement detachments out there actually moving the cocaine. Just a working party. And we'd move the cocaine, we'd take the bales, and we'd move them from the ship, down the ship, out to the tractor trailer, load them in. No cameras were allowed, any of this stuff. There's actually news articles, and I think I'm in one of them. Let me actually see if I can find it. This will be interesting. I bet I could probably find this article. It is from 2000. Oh, it's from a long time ago. I used to be able to find this on the internet. It is from like 2006, though. If anybody goes out there and they can find like 2008 articles, 2006, 2007 articles. I think it was 2000. Let me see here. There's a picture out there of my ship, the USS Rentz, RENTZ, and we're offloading cocaine in Florida. And I probably got it somewhere. I probably got it in my picture somewhere. But anyways, in the picture, in the Jacksonville media, is me. I'm sitting there with a bale of cocaine. It's kind of funny. But anyways, going back into the story, is in talking with the DEA and the CIA guys that are moving the cocaine, you ask them, what do you guys do with this cocaine? And they say, well, that's the interesting thing. He goes, 90% of all of this cocaine goes back to the country of Colombia. I shit you not. 5% of it will be destroyed, tested, destroyed, laboratory test, all that. 5% of it will be redistributed into the streets of America for intelligence, for undercover agents, those types of things. And 90% will go back to the country of Colombia. And the country of Colombia's government will take it in and then utilize it as leverage against the cartels. I shit you not. That's what happens. So tomorrow, Trump is going to deliver a major address to the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow. Now, this is another component that I found really interesting. And it's something that I was talking about a few weeks ago when I said that President Lula of Brazil started to push back against the various different organized crimes and cartels in Brazil. First time in well over a decade that Brazil utilized their military and police to go after the cartels. Well, sure and shit, Trump announced his very productive call with Brazil's Lula. Much good will come out of this. Among the things that we discussed were trade and how our countries could work together to stop organized crime, sanctions imposed on various Brazilian dignitaries, tariffs, and various other items. President Lula and I established a relationship at the meeting, which took place at the United Nations, and I believe it has set the stage for a very good dialogue and agreement long into the future. Now, it goes in a little bit. This is what I want you to see. Venezuela's primary source of revenue It's not bananas. It's not actually cocaine or fentanyl. It's oil. And they're sanctioned. So they have to sell oil under the radar illegally around Western sanctions. Not illegal, but around Western sanctions. One methodology they do is they utilize various different ports to basically ship across South America to various different ports. And then you'll have Chinese vessels that will come in. And Chinese vessels will load up on the oil and then they'll take it back to China. This is why the control of the Panama Canal was so important. This is why you had the Belt and Roads Initiative that spread through Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, because now you have a multi-port facilitation that goes around various any interdiction from Western militaries or Western authorities trying to patrol that. Trump has narrowed that down massively, cutting off the Panama Canal, going out there and basically putting an embargo with the U.S. Navy within the area of the Caribbean. So one of the major ways that Venezuela has been offloading oil and gas to China is through Brazil. And now Trump is playing that card. It's huge. They overthrew so Venezuela, I think tomorrow we're going to find direction and information of where this is going to go. We're going to talk about that more tonight on DEFCON 0. Don't worry, there's more of this show left to come. I got a ton more news. I'm not even halfway done. So the Venezuela stuff, I'm going to talk more about that tonight on DEFCON 0. So if you do miss that, make sure you catch up on that tomorrow. I think Trump is going to talk about this a little bit. But like he said to that reporter, he goes, Venezuela is different. It's not just narcotics. There's much more going on there than we know. All right? I want you to listen to Patrick Byrne here. Patrick Byrne lays out a lot of things here. There's a lot of truth. And I don't care whether you hate Patrick Byrne or love Patrick Byrne. I always look at it like this. Information is information. Take the information in, utilize it to compare and analyze with all the other various parts of information that you have and make a determination. Use discernment. Listen to what he says here.
Well, these people overthrew the United States. It's the worst attack on the United States in history by a long shot. It was almost completely successful. And they can't, in my view, I would be deeply disappointed in President Trump. I would have been if he had let them buy their way out of that with a nice deal for the U.S. on some gold fields or donors or something. So it's good. I get this. He senses, I sense he feels the same way. What they did to us is so extraordinary. Something has to be done that for 250 years, when people think about doing something like this to the United States again, they remember what happened to Venezuela. This is insane that Rick Grinnell is trying to patch this over and has been trying to patch this over and smooth it out. Oh, but the U.S. will get such and such oil fields. You're kidding me. This is 1,000 times worse than Pearl Harbor. They don't get out of it by giving us some drilling rights. Secondly, I have to say I'm very pleased with Marco Rubio. I was concerned about Rubio. I liked Rubio when he emerged years ago, and I always thought he was smart. But Rubio had in his background some people who actually are linked to the cartel. David Rivera, his college roommate's in prison now for washing money for the cartel. So I worry that he might be soft. I was completely wrong, since he has really laid to rest any doubts I had about him. He's been hard like a nail on we got to do what's right about these guys. And by the way, what the world's going to find out is Venezuela is the cancer. Venezuela is the cancer of Latin America, and all kinds of lefties and centrists that the world knows about, men of the people, the Kirchners in Argentina, the Peronists, they took $700 million from the cartel. The Danny Noriega and Danny Ortega in Nicaragua, he took like $350 million from the cartel. So these men of the people are out there are leading their people into immiseration and oppression, while they themselves are getting fat off these bribes from the cartel. They have corrupted Latin America, and they almost corrupted the U.S.
Wow. He laid it out. And whether we agree with his political position on Grinnell or anybody, it doesn't matter. What he's trying to lay out is that the cartels have done massive amounts of damage. Venezuela is a nation-state derived criminal organization that is conducting all of this. And they are not alone. There's more people involved with this. There's more involved with all of this. Okay. I love it. I found that photo. You guys want to see it? So the article is probably no longer available. I don't know. So right here, this is, oh my God, October 1st, 2003, Mayport, Florida, U.S. 6 tons of narcotics seized in August and September of this year is offloaded by sailors assigned to frigate USS Wrench, homeported in San Diego, California, along with their embarked SH-60 Bravo Seahawk helicopter and the Wolfpack, the anti-submarine HSL-47, together with the U.S. U.S. Coast Guard Law Enforcement Detachment 106 thwarted several drug smuggling outfits in the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean Sea by intercepting suspected vessels built for the transport of narcotics. Since the beginning of their deployment, Wrench has prevented almost 14,000 tons of cocaine from reaching the United States. And who is that in the image? Oh my God, look at me right there. I love it. And that's a bod, and but that's a bale of cocaine. That's what they look like. I know, I was much younger and skinnier in those days, man. I just found a picture the other day. So my father had tons of, he passed away in 2015, but he had tons of old computers. And I just packed up the hard drives, and I've been moving a lot, and I never went through them. So I plugged them in the other day and found some pictures. And one picture was me when I got back from this deployment in 2003. And I stepped off board the ship, and I'm like looking at myself going, oh my God, what happened to me? Definitely was muscular and skinny, and oh man. I said it to some friends today. I'm pretty sure they're like, oh, what? That's not you. Yeah, that was definitely me. All right. The CIA, is the juice worth the squeeze any longer, according to General Mike Flynn? The CIA has charted solely for foreign intelligence. Okay, I'll say that again. From General Flynn, the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, former National Security Advisor to President Trump, a retired Lieutenant General of the United States Army. The CIA was chartered solely for foreign intelligence, yet for 78 years it has operated on America's most powerful, least accountable institution. $101.1 billion secret budget in 2025 alone, more than the entire State Department and USAID combined. Zero public line item disclosure, documented history of abuse of power. No Republican history has survived when a permanent, unelected bureaucracy wields this much money and secrecy while answering to no one. We can have world-class intelligence without sacrificing the Constitution, effective oversight, strict statutory firewalls against domestic operations, and a complete transparency about historical abuses are radical only to those who profit from the shadows. If we do not bring the intelligence community under constitutional control now, we will not have a constitutional republic left to defend. It is time to realize the juice is sour, and we the people are the ones being squeezed. And General Flynn posted that on his Substack in a full article, and it's well worth the read. Senator Ron Johnson. Let's listen to this minute and 20-second clip from Senator Ron Johnson about CIA.
There's massive fraud. I mean, I'm listening to apparently a former CIA operative talking about how they shave votes, not in Democrat counties. They'll shave a few percent using the machines in Republican counties where people aren't really suspecting it, where the vote total should have been 60%, but it's only 58%. Again, I don't know how they do it exactly, but I do know that we don't even come close to investigate voter fraud or welfare fraud. We don't put anywhere near the amount of effort that we should be putting into this.
Well, Senator, you just broke some huge news there. You're listening to do you have a CIA whistleblower that is saying that they're...
And again, is this true? Again, you hear all these things. This is on a podcast, some apparently CIA operative who's, but let's face it, I believe the CIA has doctored elections in other countries. That's probably indisputable.
Yes.
Those same types of operations, do those occur here in America? My guess is they do. Do I have hard evidence? No. But again, we just don't investigate it. The people, we're all harmed by it, but for example, the losing candidate, they don't have the funds. We don't have the time yet to certify these elections. So election fraud goes largely uninvestigated. We uncover, again, in your earlier segment, 500 phony registrations. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
So the question is, why isn't Gary Bernstein getting that information directly over to Senator Ron Johnson? Why isn't this information getting into the hands of every congressman, every senator? I know Laura, I know General Flynn and Patrick Byrne, these people, they should make packages with all the information, with all the evidence, and send it to all the members of Congress, along with the testimony of Gary Bernstein and Ralph and Byrne and Flynn and everybody. Because here's the thing is, if we wait for the DOJ to do their job, it'll fucking never happen. Secretary Kristi Noem just discovered that 50% of the visas in Tim Walz's Minnesota are fraudulent. She says, I looked into Minnesota and their visa fraud. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that the wacko government Walz either is an idiot or did it on purpose. I think it's both. Let's listen to Kristi Noem here at the cabinet meeting.
Into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs, 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else. Fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and we're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back. And we're going to, this next year, make sure that we only put people in leadership positions in this country that love this country. Into Minnesota.
Wow. And so this is DHS directly looking into Tim Walz. This is only 2 days after they announced the investigation into Tim Walz for the $1 billion of fraud. I think that we potentially could see Tim Walz indicted. Hopefully Keith Ellison goes along with that and the lieutenant governor soon after. Maybe this is why Mike Lindell is ramping up a governor campaign very, very fast. Either way, with all of this rampant abuse and fraud, Tim Walz is not going to be able to run for re-election, even though he says he's going to try. We got to get Minnesota's elections under control first and foremost. And all my friends out there from Red Pillars to Badalandia know we have to save Minnesota. Delaware man arrested with machine guns and attack manifesto. Another tragedy prevented. Lachman Khan, 25, wasn't just carrying weapons and a manifesto. Court documents reveal his notebook named a specific University of Delaware police officer by the name and included a detailed layout of the UD police station with entry and exit points marked. This was a planned attack on law enforcement. When FBI agents searched Khan's Wilmington residence the next day, they found an arsenal, Glock 19 with an illegal machine gun conversion device, a switch, a 5.56 rifle with scope and red dot sight, 11 more extended magazines, hollow point ammunition, and a tactical vest with ballistic plates. During the initial traffic stop, officers found a .357 Glock loaded with 27 rounds in the machine gun conversion kit, 3 additional 27-round magazines, and an armored ballistic plate. Khan has been separated from the university and banned from all campuses. He faces federal machine gun charges carrying up to 10 years, plus state charges for large capacity magazines, concealed weapons, and resisting arrest. Now, does he look Islamic? He looks white, but I think that the name kind of gives it away. But this is your guy. I don't know. Maybe a Muslim convert. I don't know. But another travesty averted here. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has formally requested Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to revoke the tax-exempt status from CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. Abbott has now designated CARE a terrorist organization because of its long-standing ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and its ongoing support for terrorism. Good. Remember, back up. If you watch this show all the time, go back to when the announcement of Donald Trump declaring various factions of the Muslim Brotherhood foreign terrorist organizations, being investigated as foreign terrorist organizations. And I talked about how Governor Abbott had already declared Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as foreign terrorist organizations. Then I said, the next declaration is going to be making CARE a foreign terrorist organization. This is what Abbott is formally requesting Secretary Bessent to revoke the tax-exempt status of CARE for the state level, which will prompt an internal investigation throughout the Secretary of Treasury, which already investigated various different factions of the Muslim Brotherhood. Get the wheels running. I think CARE could easily become listed as a foreign terrorist organization within the next week or two. Now, why is that important? Linda Sarsour of CARE came out and she talked about how CARE's political action campaign was actually the main financier for Zohran Mamdani in New York City's mayoral race. And where did most of that money come into the CARE PAC? George Soros networks. See how all of that flows and works? All right, so some interesting posts here. I haven't heard any rumors or speculations, but FBI Director Kash Patel went off on anonymous sources being placed in media reports accusing the FBI of being rudderless. Anonymous sources always lie, results don't. These anonymous sources were individuals from Comey Ray era that weaponized the DOJ and created public trust in the FBI. Dan Bongino, anonymous sources from the Ray Comey era FBI are desperately trying to derail our reforms. We're not turning back. Kash and I are laser focused on keeping the homeland safe, not crushing violent crime. Now, this comes, again, after the seditious six. When they talked about intelligence and military, the FBI falls in line with that, where they were talking to federal officers, they were talking to FBI agents, they're talking to the active duty military. And so when you have anonymous sources saying that, Kash Patel has no direction, he's wearing some woman's coat and all this stuff, this is meant to undermine their authority because the deep state knows what's coming next, and they have to get as many people on their side as humanly possible. Happening today, Donald Trump, through Truth Social and through memorandum in the White House, I think that this is what this is going to be tomorrow morning, actually. He reiterated the statement and made it kind of official. Any and all documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of the now infamous and unauthorized AutoPen within the administration of Joseph R. Biden Jr. are hereby null, void, and are of no further force or effect. Anybody receiving pardons, commutations, or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that the said document has been fully and completely terminated and there's no legal effect. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Now, it's going to take a lot of time to go through this, but I have some ideas here. There's some things that we have to go back and look at here. Documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, contracts, like Ketanji Jackson's appointment to the Supreme Court. That'd be a proclamation. So I'm curious to see how this all turns out. I think that's tomorrow what is going to happen when he's from the Oval Office, but I also think that has to do with Venezuela. What else we got here? Trump went on a posting frenzy the other day. One of the things that he did post was this gem that Drago posted for us. He says, President Trump posted this. Durham's classified annex was found in burn bags, which likely reveals many of the government actors who instigated and corruptly spread the phony collusion narrative despite knowing it was totally untrue. We did not get the John Durham's full report. They hid it to avoid criminal prosecution, and now we have it. Well, they weren't burn bags. This was military intelligence, but you'll probably never hear about that. But Donald Trump reposted this, and I think that is pretty huge indication of what's to come. Well, we have Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff in Russia negotiating with Vladimir Putin at the same time that the U.S. envoy is meeting with Putin in Moscow this week. Something else is happening, something bigger, more symbolic, and possibly more dangerous, and the timing is very specific. China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, is in Moscow too. He wasn't there for ceremony. He was there for strategic security and military cooperation talks with Russia's most powerful defense and foreign policy officials. It was a 20th round of these high-level consultations, a number of reflects that not just routine coordination, but a sustained and growing alliance. The timing wasn't accidental. The same day Wang met with Sergei Shoigu and Foreign Minister Lavrov, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were preparing for their own meetings with Putin. Wang even acknowledged it, telling Lavrov it was a particularly busy, tense, and significant day for Russia. China knew exactly what it was doing, and it wanted the world to see. In a global moment defined by shifting alliances, this wasn't just another diplomatic handshake. It was a clear display of Beijing and Moscow's growing alignment on defense, intelligence, and global strategy, with America quite literally in the next room, which is pretty crazy. Now, do I believe in the sovereign alliance? I do. Do I believe that Li Wang is actually trying to undermine Xi Jinping? I do. Do I think that Li Wang is actually one of the top people in the CCP that is kind of believes that Xi Jinping humiliated the CCP and the PLA and wants to remove him from power? I do. So this is a really interesting meeting from my perspective. And I know I got the wrong post up there because it's showing me that there's transitional shifts in power that are occurring within China. And Li Wang, this is the type of stuff that he would do. But this is also why I think there's a defiance from Trump towards Russia because of the defense cooperation agreements with China. So more on this as this kind of unravels over the course of the next few days and few weeks. Let me go in here. I gotta get something to drink here. Oh my goodness. I'm parched, people. I'm parched. And let me see something here. All right, let me see. They don't give me anything I use or anything good in here. What's this one? Let me check this one out. Okay, we can do this one. I think I've done this one before. This is for Rumble. If anybody wants to check these guys out, you can go on to Rumble and check it out. I want to share a quick story about a farming family supporting this channel. 8 years ago, they had a brother return from Afghanistan with significant injuries. They watched as he became a shell of his former self and struggled a lot with health. We can't share his exact story because of FDA restrictions, but friends keep struggling, but friends kept suggesting CBD. So they tried dozens of CBD products, but nothing helped. Out of frustration, they began to create their own. They started making it to help friends and family have CBD, and they knew was it clean and powerful as possible. Then doctors started asking to carry it, and it took off. Now they speak at medical conventions and help others across the United States. While most companies have 1 to 10 compounds in CBD oil, their oil has up to 50. They have 8 things that make them different. They make bombs, gummies, pet products, etc. They're called Emerald Med. You should check these guys out. If you get their CBD and don't notice the big difference, they've actually provide a refund. If you want to support a company that supports our channel and free speech with marketing dollars, and you need a source for CBD that's real, they're running a Black Friday deal. You can click the link below to try Emerald Med 40% off today. Get extreme muscle and joint relief, support quality sleep, or even daytime calm. They're worth a try at least once. Just click the link below and use the code for 40% off up to 2 items today. And if you're on Rumble, you'll see all of that popping up. You'll see the links, and they are right there for you guys to utilize. So support Rumble and support ourselves. All right. I got 20 minutes till DEF CON, and we got a little bit more stuff to do here. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is surging U.S. military development of drone technology so the armed forces don't need to shoot down cheap drones with $2 million missiles. Massively overdue. I agree with this. We're going to solve this problem starting with small attack drones. Drone dominance is $1 billion program funded by President Trump's big, beautiful bill. And Hegseth came out and discussed this today as his hair gets grayer and grayer. You gotta remember, it's a very stressful job, anything with the military.
After the Cold War, U.S. defense spending as a percentage of GDP dropped significantly. The War Department budgeted for quality over quantity. That served us well for 30 years. However, we now find ourselves in a new era. an era of cheap, disposable battlefield drones. We cannot be left behind. We must invest in inexpensive unmanned platforms that have proved so effective. One of my priorities is rebuilding our military. We can't do that by doing business the same way we have in the past. We cannot afford to shoot down cheap drones with $2 million missiles, and we ourselves must be able to field large quantities of capable attack drones.
Okay. So Hegseth coming out talking about changes in the direction of how government contractors operate. And if you go back about 3 weeks, Hegseth actually put a video out on all DOW channels and on his personal channels talking about how they are doing a realignment of government contractors and going out there and realigning new contracts, renegotiating old contracts, and looking to save the DOW money, but also investing in technologies that are actually smart, logical, and make a difference. There's no reason to shoot a $4 million missile and a $20 drone when you could create tens of thousands of $20 drones for $20 freaking dollars, is what he's saying. And I think that this is really smart in an approach that the military is going to take. On top of that, we have the Genesis mission, which is launching. Now, I've talked a little bit about the Genesis mission, but not as much. I'm actually waiting for a DEF CON show. We're bringing Jordan Sather on. We're going to talk about the secret space program. And this is where the Genesis mission comes in, because I actually believe that the Genesis mission is an extension of the trickle-down disclosure that we're seeing through the Trump administration. You're like, trickle-down disclosure? What are you talking about? Well, I mean, you have Marco Rubio, which was in the Age of Disclosure documentary that was filmed years ago, but he's now Secretary of State. And he's talking about extraterrestrials exist, that we're not alone on this planet. This technology exists. And now he has the clearances to actually get access to it. We have Raisin Dan Kane, General Kane, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who ran the SAP-USAP program office at the Pentagon from 2018 to 2020. You have Dan Driscoll that goes out there on national TV on the 250th anniversary of the Army. That Dan Driscoll is the Secretary of the Army, who says that I just talked to an astronaut on the moon who's a soldier, indicating that we have a moon base out there. You have Lieutenant General Steve Quast, who is on the Sean Ryan podcast and has done multiple other talks in the context of helium-3 being mined off the dark side of the moon by China. They're not using robots, okay? That we have advanced technologies that are coming out. They just need to be integrated into the commercial aperture. So we have things that are in these deep, dark SAP, Special Access Program projects that have been in there for probably 50 or 60 years, reverse engineering of exotic technology, wherever they came from, whether they're ancient in human history or they're extraterrestrial in origin. It doesn't matter. What you're witnessing is, how do you get them out? How do you get them out of those projects and into commercialization? Well, you can't just tell the American people and the world people that, hey, we lied to you. You have to do the same thing that China does. And China brings this into their industrial scale. And this is why they're able to actually go out there and regenerate our technological advancements hyper fast. So what you're about to see through the Genesis mission is, by the way, Genesis, 30,000 scientists are going to be basically given the highest, fastest access to the top of the line government artificial intelligence to go in there and answer all of science and technology's problems. In other words, what's going to come out is anti-gravity technology, directed energy weapons, and things that are going to take us to space within a decade. And when I mean space, I mean Mars and beyond. And this is going to happen relatively fast. Within a decade, you're going to see the commercialization of technologies that you would only see in science fiction. That's coming. But this is what all this preparation is for. This is what this is all about. We have to get the world clean and rid of the evil. We have to move the deep state, the globalists, this international criminal cartel, the deep state intelligence apparatus. You have to dismantle those systems in order for the world to work together in a multipolar front to bring about prosperity for humanity and then move on to the next echelon of discovery. That's where we're standing right now. President Trump just signed a new law that gives Medal of Honor recipients the first pension raise in 25 years. I love this. This is amazing. My salute to the Medal of Honor recipients out there. Their pay is increasing from $16,800 per year to over $67,000. Good job, President Trump. That was amazing. All these other stories, I think that we could talk about later. President Donald Trump did say he's expecting the income tax to be soon abolished. There's no better way to unleash the U.S. economy. I fucking love this. I think this is amazing. Although we're in economic trying times right now, I guarantee you within a matter of 5 months, it's going to hit like a roller coaster, or it's going to hit like a roller coaster going up, but it ain't going to drop.
And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax.
Now, that's an interesting statement that he said. Now, today, CEO of Dell, Michael Dell, and his wife Susan pledged $6.25 billion to help fund the Trump Accounts, a program aimed at building savings for millions of American kids as they're born. This is amazing. You know, you have a billionaire that's unlike others that actually is going out there and helping to support what Trump is doing. So check this out. Remember how Trump secured 10% of the company of Intel for the American people? That's going to go into the sovereign wealth fund at some time. Listen to this.
As I sit here today, I can't be more proud of how you did it, sir. You've created the greatest cabinet. It is a joy to be at this table.
You know, one thing we will mention, so they came to see me from Intel and they had a problem. I said, look, we'll fix your problem, but I think the United States is entitled to 10% of your company. And the chairman looked at me and he goes, you have a deal. Tell him, how much money have we made since I made that deal?
It's only $40 billion.
$40 billion. We made $40 billion. That was, what, 3 months ago? Does anybody write about it? Nobody writes about it. That's okay.
$40 billion just 3 months ago. Now, take that in the context. Why is he saying that we're going to get rid of the federal income tax? Because we're substantiating income as a country through derived other means, through various different tariffs, through ownership of various different companies that doesn't go to the government, but goes to the people. We align that now with maybe a flat tax or a national sales tax of like 10, 15, 20, 30%, 3%, 5%, whatever it might be. And you eliminate taxes altogether, including, and Trump doesn't like these either, property taxes. Get rid of fucking property taxes. It's coming. It absolutely is coming. And something to look for that might be coming relatively soon here. And Kirill Dmitriev posted this earlier, is the Trump-Putin tunnel. I'll talk more on this tomorrow. There's a few stories that I skipped tonight. I'll actually play them tomorrow. Because I just didn't have the time to get into them today. But we need to do a technology show. I know. We need to do a technology show. All right, guys, I'm going to head over to DEF CON. I'm going to get on with Alpha here in a minute. I'm going to leave you with some great music you can find at redpills.tv. If you guys are interested in this music, it's available all over the place. So you can get it. You can find the copies and download them digitally. redpillsmusic.com. You can find them on Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google, YouTube. Just search Guardians of Truth on YouTube. It's actually on my YouTube channel, so you can find that there. But if you enjoy this music and others like it, I appreciate going on and helping support and everything that we do. Much love, respect, God bless. Have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll see some of you guys here at DEF CON. Take care, guys.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time are served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last price. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!